Welcome to the JAAQ platform. It's a mental health platform that believes in the power of asking a question. The doctor said to me, you've been sectioned 3 times already, you need to figure something out. We went on tour of Chipmunk, we went on tour of Diversity, we got dropped from the record label, and that's when my depression really kicked in.
You often reference a special relationship you had with your mother. Sometimes I think the individuals that do the caretaking and do the supporting don't realize how important they are.
Broke my leg and my ankle, and it's like facing the wrong way. I was in a wheelchair for about a year. I lost every part of my identity. So I was a rugby player in Sparky, and if I wasn't that, then who was I?
That's
so
my
the English version.
I'm from Tottenham, he's from Compton. My name's Kenneth, his name's Ken. I started putting all these things together like, I could be. What's going on, people? Shocka here. I have Ryan Hopkins, who's a best-selling author, and I'm with Dr. Nina Wylonis. So today, we're going to be talking about JAAQ, the mental health platform that believes in the power of asking a question. I'm going to kick this conversation that we're having off by telling you a lot more about my psychosis journey and my sectionings. I was in a group called Marvel, short for Marvelous. We brought out a single called We Know. I don't know what I think we knew, but we brought a single called We Know on a date called 10 for the 10th, 2010. Special date that we picked. In 2011, we ended up getting dropped from our record label because that special date we picked, the song came out and it didn't do well. And our label got cold feet, called us in, we got dropped from the record label. 2012, the year after, I had a huge breakdown from the depression from being dropped from the record label, had a huge breakdown. Then after that point, I was getting sectioned every 2 years because that first section was in December. So the trauma from being sectioned in December, every time December came around, I got sectioned again. One of the major reasons was not taking my medication. Kept coming off my medication, kept relapsing. 2016, got sectioned. And then the doctor said something to me, he said, you're 27 years old, you've been sectioned 3 times, you've got to figure something out. And I did. Luckily, this girl had a book on her WhatsApp from a woman called Louise Hay called You Can Heal Your Life. I found it, I applied her teachings, and it really helped me. Then up from 2016, all these amazing things happened. Show, TED Talk, did a show in New York, all these amazing things. 2020, lockdown happened, and then my life changed again. My mum came home one day, said she's come from the doctor, she's been diagnosed with cancer, she's got a year to live. That's turned my whole world around. 2022, my mum passed from cancer. I ended up getting sectioned again for the 4th time. Ended up writing my book in hospital, got a book deal, came out 2023. Then I released my debut album on 10/10/2024. Which happens to be World Mental Health Day, yes. Which is like, it's, every time I say it, it's mind-blowing because it's like, that was the last thing I was expecting.
Perfect.
And perfect, so like, that's my journey.
What was it like the first time you opened up about it? Like, how did it happen? What did it feel like?
I wasn't going to. I was going to take the normal route that most people take. Yeah. But what changed me, that helped me speak about it, was Kendrick Lamar.
Oh. Someone
brought me Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Mad City and said, you should listen to this rapper. And I did, and I started watching his interviews. I became so obsessed.
How important has music been for you with your recovery and your mental advocacy journey as well, and then trying to communicate what you bring to the world?
I always say, I think vulnerability itself is such a healer, being able to express yourself openly and honestly. But not a lot of people can do that. No. Doing it like this is one of the hardest ways to do it. But luckily, there is other ways to do it. People do it through prayer. Some people do it through their diary, journaling. Some people do it through their art. I picked my art. This way was difficult at first. I remember I tried to speak to friends or my mum, and the words just, it won't come out. And even if it did come out, it wasn't what I really wanted to say. But it's just, I couldn't, express myself the way I wanted to. But music, all my friends listen to my music to find out what's going on in my life. They're like, you know what, we're not ever going to talk to you.
So I send a WhatsApp, you just send in tracks.
They'll be like, we'll just wait for the next album. And then when the album comes out, I start getting all these questions. You didn't tell me about her. Oh, I knew you liked her. Yeah, my music's so personal, which is a beautiful thing.
You often reference a special relationship you had with your mother. Sometimes I think the individuals that do the caretaking and do the supporting don't realize how important they are.
I got a song called Single Mothers, which was inspired by her. It's only when I got to the age that I'm at now that I'm struggling to look after myself. And I was like, how did you do that? How did you look after me and yourself?
One thing that I feel really strongly about and kind of opening the conversation about is the fact that in the Black community, often individuals that experience psychosis enter through kind of police intervention or through an emergency room. It also kind of changes how you enter what is supposed to be a helpful thing. What would have changed that for you?
Yeah, I think having something like this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I had JAAQ at that time? And I could just go on an app like this or somewhere where I could just ask a question.
Yeah.
And all these answers would have come up because that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the only one that has shared their voice on the JAAQ platform. Ryan has also got a story.
Well, I started at 19, I was a trainee electrician and I used to play rugby. Broke my leg and my ankle and it's like facing the wrong way. So basically, wasn't able to walk for about a year. So I was unemployed on like job seekers, I was like £30 a week. I was in a wheelchair for about a year. I lost every part of my identity. So I was a rugby playing Sparky or electrician. And if I wasn't that, then who the was I?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I was no one. I didn't have anything else. Well, I had a goal at that time. I wanted to walk again. I wanted to get out of debt. And I wanted to get a job. Low hanging fruit, right? Like, and not like big earth-shattering goals. But for me, it was so important. Yeah. And I got a job interview for Halifax. And I got a job there and I was working on the counter, learning to walk again. And started to go to the gym because I hated what I saw in the mirror. So I struggled with my weight as a kid. I lost it and then the injury led me putting it back on. Yeah. So then I started to develop some coping mechanisms to lose the weight. I was going to the gym, I started using a calorie counter, and then I found a good way to get into shape and reduce those calories is to be sick. And then I was going to the toilet after meals, and if it's anything that wasn't, I got to a point where I was so restricted, it was just chicken and broccoli or dry porridge, like with like water. It got worse and worse and worse and worse. So I didn't tell anyone, because I was like, well, I don't know anyone who's going through this stuff. And one day, I was so calorie restricted, I'd lost so much weight, body fat was like 6%. But then I went to work one day and I couldn't put my words together. And I was so calorie restricted, like I think something was happening. I was close to ending up in hospital. I called Mum, we sat down and shared a slice of cake. And I told her, and she sat with me for about 4 hours afterwards with lots of tears and conversations. But as we said before, with your mum, like that support is the best thing ever. And that was the first person I told. And pretty much one of the only people I told for about 6 years. Applied to go to uni, and probably like the worst uni in the country would have me because I had no GCSEs or A-levels because a difficult family situation growing up. Finally got accepted to uni, worked my butt off. I put so much pressure on myself. Like you said before with everything, I felt like, and I was like, this is your one shot. I was like, you lose this, you're back, you're destitute, you've got nothing. You have to get this done. And then I was like, I'm going to transfer to a better uni. So I worked my butt off first year, but then I put so much pressure on myself playing first team rugby and I was so anxious that every time I left my front door, well, I had a panic attack one day on a bus. And then after that, every time I wasn't near a toilet, I felt like I was going to myself. And I couldn't leave my front door for about a year. And that was potentially harder than the bulimia because I couldn't go anywhere. I felt like I was just going to explode at any point. Keep working, just lock myself in and managed to graduate with a first-class degree. Started to share my journey one piece at a time. Eventually, like with one person, you're like, it's not so bad. No one's saying. And 10 people, you're like, people are like, this is great. And then
that
100.
First person is a game changer. Game changer. I have a question for you, and it's around the bulimia topic. Yeah. Because from my first feelings, how was that for you as a male going through that?
I didn't see anyone going through it, not a woman or a man or anyone. So I had no one to look to understand what the reality was like. And I talk to people now who are going through it, and we try and laugh, but as I said, I try and shine a light on these things. And I said I was the world's worst bulimic, because when I would go to the toilet and make myself sick, I can't do it quiet. I'm like, whoa, like seriously loud. And I try and share these things, but I don't know if that was just the male way of doing it compared to the female or not. I couldn't see anyone going through it, and because I saw no one, I thought I was the only person in the world. But I know that not to be true. But I still think now it's not something that's discussed. It feels physical, doesn't it? And I think the physical things tend to repulse people. And it's actually harder to talk about, whereas the mental, we're getting there, aren't we? Like compared to where we were 2016 100%. When you were struggling. Yeah. But I don't feel like this conversation has evolved as much.
So off the back of that, I guess my question is, how do we evolve as a society? And part of that is platforms like JAAQ. So I guess I want to ask, what was the experience like of sharing on JAAQ?
It's quite a nerve-wracking thing, sharing your own story, but I kept front of mind who could be on the receiving end of it and want to make sure it's concise and understandable, because I think back to when I was struggling at 19, 23, 26. So before I sat in the chair, I took some time to try and sit back into that experience, knowing that it would be difficult. because I feel like when we tell these stories, we really have to sit with how it was, rather than talking about it from a third person perspective. And that's something I struggle with, but I tried my best to bring to the chair. And I hope that people resonate and can feel that when they watch the story.
People always say to me, I'm scared to do a talk in front of people. And I always say, because you're thinking about yourself. If you think about how it's going to affect the person viewing it, it takes away all the pressure. So when you said that,
It lightens it off, doesn't it?
Yes, because it makes you feel like I'm not even doing this for me. I wouldn't even be on here if it wasn't for me. I'm doing it for that person at home that's going to take whatever they need to take from it. It was amazing having this conversation with you guys. I feel like stories break stigmas. It's just beautiful. And also, if you want to hear more stories like this, more perspectives like this, please head down to JAAQ. There's so much more for you. Head down to JAAQ to hear more stories and more perspectives like this.